Hello, everyone. My name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, and welcome to my channel. Today, we have a special guest, Aloha McGregor, who is a certified hypnotherapist. And so, we are going to jump into the conversation of what exactly is hypnotherapy and what are some common myths that we can kind of dispel and throw away and really lean into our curiosity to learn and grow. But first, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel and like this video. And of course, share it with those who are interested and could be interested in learning more about mental health from a centered place, because that's all what we are about. Now, let's go ahead and jump into our interview with Aloha McGregor and learn about what exactly is hypnotherapy. Let's watch. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Today we have a special guest, and I can't wait for her to introduce herself. Hello, how would you care to introduce to my audience who you are and how long you've been in the mental health field, and then we kind of get into like the meat of why you're here.
Okay. Well, my name is Aloha McGregor. I am a clinician and the assistant clinical director at White Diamond Counseling.
Nice.
I also have my own business, The Mind Mender, where I do hypnosis or hypnotherapy, and I offer my services to other clinicians and even medical professionals whose clients are struggling with different things where they need a little bit extra help. So we do hypnosis and hypnotherapy in that manner. I'm an associate professional counseling. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, and I also am a certified NLP practitioner. That's neuro-linguistic programming. So I also do that as well.
Neuro-linguistic programming. Okay, and then you have a book.
I do. I have a book, Hypnosis and its Therapeutic Benefits. I do have that.
Okay. All right. So that's how we're starting. To really discover something. I think just as we were talking before, like the more we know, the more we grow. A lot of times curiosity can be so like trampled upon in our world. Right. And curiosity killed the cat and all all that, but really we are curious creatures by nature. Like we want to know why something works or how something works, and definitely our mind for sure.
Right.
So what inspired you to work in this field? What inspired you to work in this field, and then to be introduced into hypnotherapy?
Okay, well, about 10 years ago, I was working. I managed fast food restaurants, and it was just grind. I didn't have time to
hard
stop.
work.
Down. And when I finally stopped doing that, I just had time to be still and pay attention to what was going on around me. And I noticed that almost every place I went, at church, in this grocery store, sitting in different places where there were people suffering. There was a lot of mental health things going on in my environment that other people didn't recognize, or that there was not enough knowledge to address. So it just got ignored pretty much. So I wanted to be a person who no longer ignored it.
You wanted to pay attention to it and be mindful of it.
Exactly.
Yes. So then what brought you into hypnotherapy specifically, or made you lean into your curiosity about hypnotherapy?
Okay, well, I've experienced hypnosis before I got into counseling field. I went through some hypnotherapy myself, but in being a counselor, I sit with clients and I listen to them. A lot of times there's growth, but some clients are just so stuck, and their negative thoughts and patterns of believing and thinking and behaving are just, I can't, I don't, I won't, I'll never, just is so ingrained into who they are that it's just hard to get past. And if they get it past it for a moment or two, a week or month, a year, it always ends up coming back, and it's triggered by something simple. So going through hypnosis or hypnotherapy, allows you to target those thoughts and kind of walk you out of those patterns that you have and those habits that you have that keep you in this cycle of negativity that leads to depression and anxiety and all of these other things that we don't have to experience.
Right. So trying really through your therapeutic work, seeing that people were making progress, but then there was this set group that was still kind of stuck, and or they would make progress and then something would activate them or trigger them. I kind of interchange those words a little bit because I feel we use trigger a lot. So, but like activate us, and it kind of sends us back to a place, and we get back to our like self-soothing, unhealthy self-soothing, and hypnotherapy, you feel like really helps. So help us for dispel some common myths about hypnosis and hypnotherapy, because I will tell you, like my introduction to hypnosis was like those talk shows. I think maybe it was like Ricky Lake or one of those people, like making people bark like dogs and things like that. So I think sometimes that's what people think of. So dispel, help us. What do we
exactly? What TV shows, circuses, and all of those things kind of give us a real clear misconception. Hypnosis is definitely different from hypnotherapy.
Okay.
But most people believe either way that the hypnotist or the hypnotherapist has control over your mind. Just taking, for example, somebody on stage barking like a dog, we have to step back and say that a person on stage who would bark like a dog would be the same person at a party dancing on the table. Okay. They are people who would naturally and normally entertain and have a good time. Yeah. And if you ever notice, and most of the time the cameras don't let you see it, but a lot of times people get up there, they're volunteer, but they're also ushered off the stage. And they do that because they're not susceptible. They're not signing on to this foolishness, as they say. You cannot be hypnotized to do something that you would not normally do. It doesn't allow you to, a hypnotherapist or hypnotist can't bypass your moral compass, going against your values and your beliefs and things like that. So if you do something under hypnosis, it is, I'm not going to say probably, something that you would do naturally, consciously. And a lot of times people think that, you control your mind, or if you go under hypnosis, that you'll tell all your deep, dark secrets and stuff like that. And if you won't tell it consciously, you won't tell it subconsciously. You can even lie under hypnosis, because if you would lie consciously, you'll tell a lie in hypnosis. So it doesn't, anything outside of your morals and your natural character, it won't take you outside of that unless you've made a cognitive decision to change whatever it is. And that's what makes it effective. People go through hypnotherapy so that they can change patterns of thinking and believing. And if you believe and you are totally cognizant and make a decision to do that, it is helpful. But if you believe that it won't work, or this decision to make this change is not yours, it won't be as effective.
Okay. So I'm curious, because I'm thinking like those defense mechanisms, because you talked about that if you're not going to do something outside of your morals or your values or your personality, does it surpass like the defense mechanism? So if you were someone who, like you said, maybe not feeling open to share because you have a fear that what you're about to say is going to overwhelm you, would that be something that hypnotherapy would be able to penetrate through, for lack of?
It will be able to penetrate through it if your nervousness or your apprehension is something that you want to get past, right? Okay. But if you, like I said, if you've made up your mind that like, you don't want to do this, there's no penetrating that. But if you're just nervous and you do have some apprehensions, but you are really willing to go through the process, then absolutely it can penetrate that.
Okay. That's very interesting. This is okay. I'm intrigued. Okay, so how are meditation or is meditation related to hypnotherapy? Are they distant cousins, first cousin? How are they related?
Meditation and hypnotherapy are connected, but the main difference is the intention. When you meditate, you are also in an alternate state, a trance state. But the intention is for calming and soothing and relaxation. When you start a hypnotherapy session, you're in a meditative state. You are calm and relaxed, but then it goes further to where you are guided through a process where different changes and stuff can be made.
Okay, so meditation may be level 1, and on the
because you got to get in that real calm, relaxed, and focused state to progress through to hypnosis. But meditation in and of itself is just that calming, relaxing process.
Okay. And so I hear a lot of clients and people who feel like, meditation, I just can't do it. My brain, it's like, it won't let me focus. And knowing that hypnosis is a higher level of concentration, or how would you help someone who's struggling to be mindful and to be in that calm state to get to that place?
Well, meditation, even when you're in guided meditation, because the purpose is to relax, it's hard to relax. And of course, anytime you want to sit still and be quiet, your mind wanders. And then there are techniques. You just bring your mind back to your breath or to the voice that you're listening to, unless you're doing it by yourself. But hypnosis, because you're going into it with the understanding that there is something behind or besides the relaxation, you relax easier. And the more we tell ourselves what we can't do, the harder it is to do it.
Yeah, and that's something that I try to encourage clients who are a little skeptical of their ability to meditate. I think sometimes they have, again, like a stereotypical like monk, like
absolutely.
And these people have been meditating for years and years and years, and that's why they can just sit in silence and focus. For us who deal with notifications and email alerts and all of that, and the scanning feed on the news as you're looking at the news. We have to be mindful, like, oh, I just thought about what I have to get after work. Okay, and now I'm back. Oh, I thought about that. Okay, my child has that. Okay, and then you bring it back. You attend to the thought, but not judge yourself for getting distracted, and then bring your mind back to that alternate state.
Right. Don't start off trying to meditate for 15 or 20 minutes at the beginning. If you could do a 2-minute guided meditation and get to the point where you could do that, and then you build up. Anybody who tries to do too much at one time, especially if it's not guided and it's just you sitting still and sitting quiet, you're likely to get discouraged, because it is very difficult, even for people who do it all the time. And sometimes it's just hard to do.
It is, especially, again, if you've never tried it. And if you have, I find too that clients who have a lot of anxiety and restlessness, and their anxiety presents like in a restlessness manner or hypervigilant manner, it can be a little jarring to their system to be mindful and be present and pay attention to just like one thing, because it can often feel like they're not safe at times. So we're definitely, so if someone is skeptical, because I feel there could be a lot of people skeptical of hypnotherapy, and I'm sure you've encountered them. What are some things that you felt were useful and helpful for them to be open to trying hypnotherapy?
I am as a therapist, I'm all about CBT. I'm all about patterns of thinking and believing, and just helping people have different conversations with themselves about hypnotherapy.
Okay.
And then there are some little activities that you could do, or that I would do before actually going through the hypnosis process, to help them see exactly how it looks and how it feels, and how it's not dangerous, and it's not this big old kind of thing. Just helping them get past that, and really explaining it to them and talking them through it, showing them the science and things like that. We are all curious by nature, but at the same time, we scared of some things too, right?
Yeah.
Things that we don't understand, we kind of draw back from. So trying to help people really get an understanding of what the process is. And like I said, there's some little things, some activities that I would do, just so you can get a feel of what the experience would be like. You would hear everything. Sometimes people think that they are just be totally out of it and they won't hear anything. You are in control of how deep you go. People have to understand that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You do all the work. All I do is guide you through it. And as long as you feel safe, you stay in hypnosis, but you can count yourself out of it, or just get up at any time. Any suggestions that's given, you have a choice to accept it or not to accept it. So just helping people understand that it's not what they see on TV, that our bodies and our physiological, our chemicals and everything are connected. So if we use one part of ourselves to help another part of ourselves, we grow as a whole person. Sometimes we like to leave parts of ourselves out of the process, and it's not helpful sometimes to do that.
Yeah. I like what you said, that it's self-led. I think that would help somebody, definitely. I'm just thinking about people that look like you and I, brown people. We have, we've been through a lot in this country, and still experiencing a lot in this country. And so thinking about our trauma, and historically, and even in our families. And so the thought of someone else controlling you would be alarming.
Exactly.
But you saying, no, this is something that you are walking yourself through this process. I'm just guiding you through it. And if at any time that person doesn't feel comfortable, I'm hearing you say, like, anytime the person doesn't feel comfortable, or feels like they don't want to go higher or deeper, then they can stay where they are.
Right. And there's no control in it. I might say, I'm going to say some things, and you use your imagination to get you to the place. And then when I start giving suggestions, these are suggestions that we've agreed on. There's the therapy part is what we've already talked about. And I'm not suggesting anything that we haven't agreed to before. And since you're hearing everything I say, you could just be like, yeah, no, we're not finna do that right now, right?
Like, so, no, Miss McGregor.
Sometimes you can get deep enough exactly. Sometimes you can get deep enough so you don't hear the therapist, but you've allowed yourself, you've given yourself permission to do that. They can't take you any deeper than you go on your own.
So then I'm also hearing you say that there's trust that's built before all of this happens.
Right. There is a partnership.
They're building a therapeutic relationship with you before hypnotherapy even happens.
Exactly.
It's because I could see, because I know clients, because we do this work. Right. I could just see somebody coming in like, I want to stop binge eating. So come on, let's do it. And you're like, well, we're gonna start first.
Yeah, that requires a whole big old conversation. Why are you binge eating? What have you been eating? What has made you come to the decision that you no longer want to binge eat? Trying to work with, and because it is hypnosis and therapy, getting to some of that underlying stuff helps the process.
And it also helps the client understand themselves a little bit better too. I'm saying, yeah, I really see again how internal family systems and hypnotherapy are kind of related. For sure, a lot of the work we do is self-led. especially when we're helping people unburden their parts that's carrying pain and that's trying to protect them using binge eating or drinking or having suicidal thoughts to help protect them from pain. And so, yeah, this is, I'm so glad. This is great.
Yeah. And what you're saying also is connected to what I do, the NLP, because our brain is wired a certain way. Not that I can control and change your brain, but there are chemicals, there's neurotransmitters, and sometimes the way that they connect, based off the language that we use, it's unhelpful. And, you know, people say unhealthy, they use all these inappropriate words. They're just unhelpful. So I use the example, you could get up in the morning and say, I'm not going to have a bad day. But because the focus is on a bad day, it's different from I'm going to have a good day. The context is kind of the same, but because the language is different, it makes the outcome different. So just walking through the process. And then there's also parts integration, helping people relieve the emotions connected to trauma without re-experiencing the trauma.
Oh, okay. And this is with the NLP work that you do. Okay. Okay. Can you give us a little about that or explain it for someone who may not you like, this is going to be hard.
Well, it's just really about language, right? Okay. We all think a certain way, based off of our life experiences. We are programmed to operate a certain way. NLP, different strategies help you reprogram the parts or the processes that you want changed that are keeping you in different places. And NLP is kind of hypnosis, but conscious, right? Because everything that you do is conscious, but there's still a strategy of changing patterns of thinking and believing, but it's more about the way you process information, the conversations, the language that you use when you have conversations with yourself versus you being given different suggestions and then that helping you make the change.
Okay. And then tell us what this acronym means again, because I want to make sure everybody here knows what it is.
NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming.
Okay. Yeah. And then, you know, sometimes I wish that these acronyms had different words too, because I think programming in itself, that makes people like,
yeah, you programming my mind. No, I'm not.
Now you said we was doing therapy. Now you talking about programming me? What you saying? Like, it's, you know,
right, that exactly.
It automatically puts people on a defensive because there's definitely a part of our system that I believe that wants to maintain control for safety. And so the idea of like hypnotherapy, the stereotypical myth of, you know, the myth that we have, and then this programming makes people feel like, now what is you trying to do to me? And really that's not the case. So I have I really wish sometimes that language, even the language around how some therapeutic treatment modalities are named, even just the word disorder on the end of a diagnosis, you know, I just feel oftentimes can be very stigmatizing. I have training in DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, and so even like that just all of that I just said, that just sounds like a lot to receive as a person who may not, you know, be introduced like their first session or, you know, their first experience with therapy. Like, okay, we're going to do neuro linguistic programming. You're like, huh?
And that's why I only do it with people who come and ask for it, which means they're familiar.
Oh, okay.
And then integrate it into my regular counseling. There is a level of trust. Right. And there's a level of understanding Miss Aloha is not finna do or tell me to do anything that would be harmful for me. Right. And, you know, the strategies and stuff that I use, I tell them, okay, it's only going to be helpful if you want it to be helpful. It's only going to work if you want it to work. I am not doing anything that will be successful against your wanting it to be successful.
Okay. So it's not saying, because I hear where someone could potentially think like, oh, it's not working because I'm doing something wrong. It's only going to work unless you are comfortable and you are willing. Well, even willing, you're giving permission. Really, that's what it is. You're giving permission for it to work. And you feeling safe and secure for it to work. And so I can see, too, where you would do some work with, maybe some parts of them that are, protective and reluctant about how this change might impact them as a whole. If we let go of this binge eating, because we use that example, we let go of this binge eating, now what am I going to do in my emotions? What am I going to do with my feelings? Or, if I let this go, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
So, okay, this is very good. So you said we're going to do a practice session.
Yeah, just a short demonstration, because, like you said, a lot of people are apprehensive and they think it's this big old mystical, terrifying thing. So I just want to walk you through. I'm not going to hypnotize you, just because I want people to understand that our bodies do and respond to what's going on in our mind. So, like when you read a book, you get excited, or you cry, you laugh. The words on the page is not what's eliciting these emotions. It's what you do. Your imagination is telling this story along with the words. And that's what gives you your reaction. The same with watching TV. So when you're in hypnosis, your mind is doing something that is followed by the response of your body. Right. So just to give you a demonstration, close your eyes. Okay. All right. So just pretend like you are in the most comfortable seat in your house. Get comfortable, lay back, hear all the sounds that you would normally hear, smell the normal things that you would normally smell in your house. Now, I want you to get up and walk over to your refrigerator. Inside your refrigerator is going to be something that maybe you've never seen in there before. But go ahead and open the refrigerator door. Hear the sounds of the door cracking open. Feel the cool air coming out. Now notice in the refrigerator, there's a big bowl of yellow lemons. Grab one out. Feel the roughness and the coolness of the rind. Allow the refrigerator to close. Now, go to wherever you would go to cut things and get out a utensil that you would use to cut things. Go ahead and cut the lemon in half. Feel the juice squirt on your hands. Begin to smell the lemony smell. Go ahead and cut it one more time. Feeling again. The juice splash on you and the smell getting stronger. Now, what I want you to do is just take one of the pieces of lemon and take a big bite in it. All right, you can open your eyes now. But did you notice that when you took a big bite of that lemon, something changed, right? There was this tinge, you made a face.
Yeah.
It's just like that. Your imagination elicit this thing. You didn't have a lemon in your mouth for real, but your body kind of thought you did because in your mind you did. That's all hypnosis is. It works so well because what you have in your mind elicits a biochemical change in your body.
Amazing. Yeah, it was a cool experience because we have this comfy chair that has like a rounded back, so like it helps support my lower back. So I sat in there, and when you said hear the things that you normally hear in your house, I was like, okay, I'm gonna hear what I normally hear with my children are not here because they're loud. And then I saw my refrigerator. I smiled when I don't know if you noticed, I smiled when you said a big, huge bowl of lemons because I love the color yellow. So I was like, oh, that would be really nice. And then, but yeah, I saw the cutting board. I saw me cutting everything as you were directing me. But yeah, when you said to bite into, I was like, ugh. Yeah, but it was a really cool experience. I think, very similar to, again, the work that we do in internal family systems. So I was able to follow along and be right present with you, and can definitely see how hypnotherapy works and how it can truly be a part of how people can lead themselves. I think it's so powerful when things are self-led, because it builds confidence. It builds confidence,
Absolutely.
and then again, we're able to respect them by
Right.
when they say, okay, Miss Alicia, or we're not gonna go any further today, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. So tell us about your book. I want to.
Well, the book, again, it just explains the history of hypnosis and hypnotherapy, and it gives details how it is effective in certain therapeutic settings, what it can be used for: smoking, pain, depression, anxiety, and it gives the examples of different studies and stuff that show and support that this is a scientific, it's supported by science, and it's not just something that people are saying that works. So it's really just about helping people understand what it is, why it works, and then what it can be used for and the evidence behind it.
Awesome. So for those who are reluctant or in maybe curious, they may have two parts: a reluctant part and a curious part. And so for those who might want to lean into their curiosity, can definitely look into your book. What's the name of your book, and where can they find it?
The name of the book is Hypnotherapy and its Therapeutic Benefits. It can be found on my website, themindmender.net.
Okay, very good. And I'll make sure, that I have that information in the description below so people can find you and find it. Where else can they connect with you?
I am on Facebook at Counseling Healing, and I am on Instagram at Aloha McGregor. But I do have a Linktree page that has all of the links, my White Diamond Counseling, and all of the Linktree is the Mind Mender. Okay. So you can find everything to find me in all avenues there.
And I like it, the Mind Mender, which ties right into what inspired you to get into this field. This is definitely a calling. I think some people think that you can fall into this work and do this work, but you have to definitely be called to this work. And so it's great to connect with another healer and another person who is a vessel of just sitting with people and validating their experiences, and helping them to learn and grow and move through those experiences so that they can reach the quality of life that they want for themselves. So I'm so excited that we met. I'm going to follow you on Instagram because I don't think I've followed you there yet. Okay. And I appreciate you so much for coming and teaching us something today.
I definitely appreciate you having me. It is my heart desire that we all live whole and healthy lives, but that takes stepping outside of our comfort zone and just realizing it's okay to be not okay. Asking for help is the strongest thing that anybody can do. So the most courageous thing that anybody can do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
No problem at all. It was nice to meet you again, and thank you.